Well, we have a very interesting story that is very typical in family relationships, but this one connects to power and to Jesus. And so it's kind of interesting. You've heard it before probably if you've been in church very long. Want to bring it out and kind of amplify a few things in it. Matthew chapter 20, verse 20. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to him with her sons, bowing down and making a request of him. And he said to her, "What do you wish?" And she said to him, "Command that in your kingdom these two sons of mine may sit on your right and one on your left." Now, just so you get that, that means they're second and third in command. And that's exactly how a king or an emperor set up his order of authority. The one on his right was the second in command, the one on his left was the third in command, and they basically together equaled the emperor or the king. So verse 22 we read, "But Jesus answered and said, 'You do not know what you are asking, for are you able to drink of the cup that I am about to drink?'" In other words, he says, if you're going to be second and third in command, are you able to do what I can do? Because the two of you together are supposed to equal the one emperor or the one king. And they said to him, not the mother of James and John, but James and John now jump into the conversation. And they said to him, "We are able." Yeah, they didn't even know really what was going to happen because they obviously weren't clairvoyant, couldn't see the future. Jesus did know what was going to happen, and I can only imagine he's going, he's kind of snickering at this one, okay? They said, "We are able," verse 23, and he said to them, "My cup you shall drink, but to sit at my right hand and on my left, this is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." Jesus is simply saying, here in my earthly form, I don't have that information, not worried about it. It'll happen how it's supposed to happen with whom it's supposed to happen. And he's basically telling them not to worry about it. That's generally what he's saying. And he's also kind of preparing them when he says, you are going to drink of it. You just don't know how it'll look like, and you don't know what it'll feel like, and you're not sure when it'll happen. And hearing this, the 10 became indignant with the two brothers. In other words, the other 10 are saying, "Do you think they're really going to be second and third in command? What about us?" I can only imagine, because basically James and John are not, they're the two sons of Zebedee, and then Peter's standing there and he says, "I was picked first." You can imagine all the psychology and the dynamics in a group of 12 guys standing there. And of course, you've even got Judas Iscariot who's sitting there back and saying, "I don't know what this is all about. I'm going to make some money on this deal." And so we see this whole thing coming down. And in verse 25, "But Jesus called them to himself and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great men exercise authority over them. It is not so among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant." This is what I call reverse theology, where we typically in the world think if you climb the social ladder, if you climb the educational ladder, if you climb the popularity ladder, you're going to get to the top and you're going to be king of the hill and you're going to have it all. And Jesus says, no, that's really not the way it is, folks. And he's talking to his disciples, his believers, and he's saying very clearly, if you're willing to be the lowest of the forms, you'll win, not the highest of the forms. This is where Jesus gives the example to us of servanthood. We're going to keep reading and we'll hear it explained. Verse 27, "And whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." He is simply stating his purpose in salvation should be reflected in our lives. He came to be a servant, and in the act of servanthood, he gives his life to pay sin's ransom for the entire humanity. And we want to be the king of the hill. We want to be on top of the heap. We want to be the one on the throne. And Jesus is saying, no, you're better off to be the guy out in the field working. You're better off to be the guy who isn't known, who just does the supplemental stuff that needs to be done. The servant mentality, very simply, is not recognized. So what do we see going on in the church today? What do we see? We see people wanting to build big ministries. We see people who name their ministries after themselves. We see people who are all in it for the TV, the radio broadcast. That's what they think. They think their message is that important, that they have to be on top of the show. They have to be out there. And Jesus is really saying, if you're unknown, if you're willing to serve humbly, without any recognition, you're going to end up being the greatest in the big picture. And the big picture is eternal. The big picture isn't here on earth. When we get that right, we understand this parable very, very clear.